In ancient Babylon, 1700 years before Christ, ambition reached toward heaven. The ziggurats, the temples, the towers that connected earth to the divine. Building upward was building toward greatness, and every architect dreamed of creating the tallest structure ever conceived. But ambition without wisdom builds monuments to failure. This is the story of a tower that was never supposed to fall, and the architect who learned that vision without foundation is just a beautiful way to die. Meet Nile, 41 years old, master architect, brilliant, visionary, obsessed. He had designed bridges, temples, warehouses, solid structures that would stand for centuries. But he wanted more. He wanted immortality, a tower so tall it would be visible from every corner of Babylon, a structure that would make his name eternal. He found his patron in an unexpected place, Ninkasi, 49 years old, a wealthy widow. Her husband had been a successful merchant who died suddenly, leaving her his fortune and his final dream. Before he died, he had commissioned Nile to design a memorial tower, the tallest private structure in Babylon, a monument to a life well lived. Ninkasi inherited the project and the obsession. Her husband had wanted this tower, so she would build it, regardless of cost, regardless of warnings. It would be his legacy and hers. Nile designed something unprecedented, a tower rising 120 feet, 8 stories, each level smaller than the one below, creating a stepped pyramid effect. Beautiful, elegant, impossible. The master mason, Sin, 56 years old, looked at the plans with deep skepticism. He had built structures for 38 years. He knew stone, knew weight, knew stress, and he knew this design was dangerous. The foundation isn't deep enough, he told Nile. For this height, you need to go down 20 feet. These plans show 12. Nile waved away the concern. 12 feet is sufficient. I've calculated the weight distribution. The mathematics is sound, but mathematics on clay tablets and reality in stone are different things. Sin tried again. The base needs to be wider. The lower levels will compress under the upper weight. The bricks will crack. Again, Nile dismissed him. I've designed it to distribute weight evenly across the structure. Trust the design. Sin had a choice. Refuse the job and let someone less skilled build it, or accept the job and try to make it as safe as possible while following flawed plans. He chose the latter. Better to be involved than to watch disaster unfold without any ability to minimize it. Construction began. Young laborers like Sin were hired. 19 years old, strong, desperate for work. This was the biggest construction project in Babylon's private sector. Months of paid labor, a chance to learn skills. To escape poverty, Sin worked harder than anyone, carrying stones, mixing mortar, climbing scaffolding. His body screamed, but his hope was louder. The foundation was dug, 12 feet, as specified, not the 20 Sin wanted. The base walls were laid, strong Babylonian brick, but the base was narrower than Sin recommended, as specified by Nile's precise calculations. The building materials came from Dagan, 44 years old, a supplier with a reputation. Not a good reputation among builders, but a profitable one among the desperate. He sold bricks. Some were excellent, some were acceptable, some were garbage. Dagan had a system. The first, deliveries were always premium quality, properly fired, dense, strong. Those were the bricks inspectors saw. But later deliveries, when the project was committed and desperate to maintain schedule, those bricks were different. Under-fired porous weak, mixed into shipments with good bricks, impossible to detect without testing each one individually. Sin caught some of it, rejected shipments, demanded better, but he couldn't catch everything. And Dagan was clever. Just enough good bricks to pass inspection, just enough bad bricks to maximize profit. The difference between a brick that cost him 6 copper pieces and one he sold for 12. The tower rose. First level, second level, third level, for stories high and climbing. The workers were proud. Sin looked at the growing structure with awe. He had helped build this. His hands, his sweat, his strength. This tower would stand for centuries, and he could tell his children he had built it. But Weradsin noticed problems. Small cracks appearing in lower-level bricks. Compression damage. Exactly what he had warned about. He reported it to Nile. The lower levels are showing stress. We need to stop construction and reinforce the foundation. Nile refused. Minor settling. Normal in any large structure. The design accounts for it, but the design didn't account for inferior bricks, or shallow foundation, or narrow base. The design was perfect. The execution was flawed. By the 6th story, the cracks were visible to everyone. Ninkasi visited the site, saw the damage, asked questions. Nile assured her everything was fine. Cosmetic issues, surface cracking, nothing structural. She wanted to believe him. This was her husband's dream. It had to work. She had spent her fortune. She couldn't stop now. The 7th story went up. The tower now stood 90 feet tall. Impressive, visible across the city. But at night, when work stopped, Weradsin couldn't sleep. He saw the stress patterns, knew what they meant. The structure was failing. Not dramatically, not yet, but inevitably. He gathered the workers, told them his concerns. Some dismissed him as overcautious. Some listened. Imberson listened. The young laborer had noticed the cracks too, felt the subtle shifting in the scaffolding. Something was wrong. Weradsin went to city inspectors, reported his concerns. They visited, examined the structure, found the cracks, but Nile had explanations for everything. Technical terms, mathematical proofs. The inspectors weren't engineers. They couldn't evaluate the mathematics, and Nile was the most respected architect in Babylon. His reputation carried weight. The 8th and final story began. The tower would top 120 feet, a monument to ambition, to vision, to one woman's love for her dead husband. Workers hauled bricks to the highest level. The scaffolding swayed slightly in the wind. Nothing unusual. Tall structures always moved a bit, but down below in the foundation, the cracks were growing. The shallow base was compressing. The narrow foundation was shifting. The inferior bricks were crumbling under pressure, and the perfect mathematical design was meeting imperfect reality. It happened at dawn, before work started. The tower was empty, a blessing that saved lives. A cracking sound, then a rumble. Then the catastrophic failure of the 3rd level supporting wall. One entire side collapsed inward. The weight above, no longer supported, fell. The tower didn't topple. It imploded, collapsed into itself. 120 feet of stone and brick and ambition falling in seconds. The sound was heard across Babylon, a roar like thunder, dust rising in a massive cloud. And when the dust settled, there was only rubble. Months of work, a fortune in silver, countless hours of labor gone. Miraculously, no one died. The collapse happened before workers arrived, but Imberson had been approaching the site early, eager to start work. He saw it fall, saw the structure he had helped build destroy itself. His dream of honest work leading to better life buried in rubble. The investigation was immediate. What had caused the collapse? The inspectors dug through rubble, found the inferior bricks, traced them to Ishmdegan, found his pattern of fraud, premium samples, inferior deliveries, years of it, other buildings, other projects, some still standing, some waiting to fall. Ishmdegan was arrested. His fraud was undeniable. Under Hammurabi's code, selling inferior building materials that caused structural failure carried severe penalties. His property was confiscated. He was exiled, but the damage was done. Buildings across Babylon now suspected of containing his fraudulent bricks. Nile's reputation was destroyed. His mathematical genius couldn't overcome his refusal to listen. His perfect calculations were based on perfect conditions, perfect bricks, perfect execution, perfect foundation. Reality was never perfect, and his refusal to adjust for reality had caused disaster. Ninkasi lost everything. Her fortune spent on rubble. Her husband's dream turned to dust. She had trusted the architect, believed in the vision, and she had lost not just money, but the memorial she had hoped would honor the man she loved. But Weradsin's warnings were remembered. Building codes changed. Foundation depths were mandated. Base to height ratios were required. multiple inspectors became standard, and most importantly, experienced masons were given authority to halt construction when they saw danger. Regardless of what architects claimed, the tower that fell taught Babylon a crucial lesson. Vision without foundation is fantasy. Ambition without wisdom is danger. And the most beautiful design in the world is worthless if it can't survive reality. Today, archaeologists find the ruins of Babylonian structures, some standing for thousands of years. Others collapsed in antiquity. The difference? The ones that stand had builders who understood that great architecture requires more than great design. It requires respect for materials, respect for physics, respect for the wisdom of those who work with their hands. Imgerson eventually found other work, learned his trade, became a skilled mason under Weradson's teaching, and he never forgot the tower that fell. Never built anything without checking every brick. Never trusted vision over foundation. Weradson's legacy lived on. The master mason who spoke truth to genius, who valued safety over schedule, who understood that saying no to a flawed plan was more important than saying yes to an impressive one. And Sumulael, he never built again, lived in quiet obscurity, his mathematical genius unused, his vision untrusted. The cautionary tale of what happens when brilliance refuses to learn from experience. The tower reached toward heaven for a few months, then fell to earth forever, but its lesson rose higher than it ever did. That true greatness comes not from building tall, but from building strong. Not from impressing today, but from standing tomorrow. The tower that fell, silent Babylon, where ancient civilizations speak.